So thank you very much for coming, colleagues. Really, really nice to have you here. If you haven't done a webinar, a guide webinar, or a webinar with Ross and I before, I think this is our third one, Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we try and maximise on the delivery opportunity, but your questions are always welcome in the chat. And also there's going to be a one-to-one link put through and up for other people to kind of comment and respond. And there will be a replay that will be made available as well. It will go out to everyone who came, and obviously the people who couldn't make it or who leave. So there will be a video of it as well. But feel free to ask your questions. It's going to be a lovely chance to introduce TuitionKit to you, which is something that we're doing for free now and forevermore, which is a really, really useful resource. Which helps people with GCSEs, but so much more as well. And we're going to talk as well about some of the recent changes and the recent report that Ofsted put out yesterday, I believe, Ross.
I said, did you say it was for free?
Always, free and forever.
You're into your script then. I couldn't believe you said for free, but yeah, for people watching, I've been working with Leon now for about 6 months. Incredible wealth of resources, free for schools to use. No subscription, just sign up. Really worth it. So we're going to have to take a look at it, aren't we, Leon?
Yeah. So it's been really, really nice, especially even in doing these, Ross. The first couple that we done, I think we've had nearly 500,000 people over the 5 years we've been running it. But just over the last 3 months, we've had 40,000 new students, schools and students sign up. Which is it's doing what it's supposed to do because it was a good thing to start with. But so this is our background in case you don't know much about us. One of our products now is over 500,000 students have used it. We've got a lot of partnerships with YouTubers who put their YouTube content on there. We support all the core subjects, and really we're about encouraging video use. And really, I think it's just our time, colleagues, if you'll forgive the phrase. Really, we've been encouraging video use, video tutorials, video creation for a long, long time, and now it's just starting to pay off. We're lucky we're going to have one of Ross's courses up on our teacher training portal soon as well. Mark Plan Teachers be giving video revision.
I record a couple more videos this week and then it'll be ready to go.
I've been hearing that since 3 months ago, buddy, but you did move house.
Yeah.
So
I need to do a reshoot. So
So, colleagues, what I'm going to be showing you today is something as well that helps you organise and support learning, especially with the idea. Thankfully, schools didn't shut in second lockdown, but we do know that students are actually missing out. Students aren't getting a lot of the support and the items that they want. So we're looking at different ways. Not only can you give them core subjects, but you can organise things towards mental support. You can organise different resources that are specific and bespoke to your school, and we do that. And then the last thing we do is we actually help to train thousands of teachers, whether it be all the way through QTS and a couple of year courses, or on 1 week courses or video courses that are just a couple of hours. But I think it's up to 17,000 now around the world. Teachers have done something with us or other. So we'll start with the teacher tools. But before we go into that, Ross, would you mind summarising? I know you said we're really keen, and also for the colleagues who are joining us, we had a lot of items drop in yesterday from Ofsted. So do you want to take us through that at any point?
Well, I don't know if people are interested, but and I don't know if everyone's watching here from England, but the inspection body here in England has just kind of published a report on what they've discovered in schools over the last 2 months. My question is, where were they 6 months ago? But anyway, it's a good report. It's 18 pages. On my blog tonight, I've got a little summary. In fact, I'll drag it onto my screen if I have no one shouting out, "Oh no, not Ofsted." So that's it there. Essentially, it'll go out at 7 o'clock tonight, but I've given you a little summary of how they conducted the research. But it just talks about all the pressures that schools have been under and what's been working well and what hasn't. The interesting thing with remote learning, no surprise that as more people have got up to speed, it's now the question is not how to use the technology, but how best to use it in terms of a learning approach. So that's quite interesting. CPD, remote, good for everyone. More people can join in. It's cheaper. It reduces travel time. So there's more people taking part in professional development. Pupils' mental health, as we know, a lot of disadvantaged kids in particular are suffering. But interestingly, Ofsted reports that don't yet know the impact of that. The really fascinating part here for me is the challenges that lie ahead for school leaders in particular. You've got the highlights there. I'll just highlight them on the screen. Trying to teach as normal. All the kind of safety procedures, number 2, dealing with kids that are in school. So, doing that kind of teaching your kids in front of you, behind the line, so to speak, as well as kids remotely, is in some respects duplicated work. And then I was speaking to a head teacher in Manchester, 35 members of staff he didn't have in school last Monday. And the school head teacher I was talking to today, just 4. So the kind of diversity of the impact on different schools is quite significant. So, I mean, that's it. I won't go into too much more detail. You can read it later tonight. But it's really interesting times for us all, I suppose. I've just finished my own webinar with my own new members. Teacher mental health, well-being. 10 years ago, you'd struggle to find any academic research, I suppose, that what the research has on looking after teachers' mental health has an impact on outcome. But it's now in abundance. But I think, as we know, the pandemic has thrown a spanner in the works for all of us in all aspects of society.
It's also shone a big light on it. I mean, I think this is when we really started to take it much more seriously. I think just like online learning was, a lot of people now actually think this is here to stay, not in its current form. We have to get better at it. And same with mental health support and awareness for colleagues and staff and students. That's going to be a big thing coming too.
It is. And, the key message I got from school leaders is that the current climate is not sustainable. It's, people almost feel like they've done a couple of years of academic work in the space of 2 or 3 months. So if people aren't crawling towards Christmas already, I'm sure most people are. So hang on in there, I suppose. But I can share some ideas as we go through. But it's all about TuitionKit. So maybe tell people how TuitionKit can help teacher well-being, I suppose, Leon.
Yeah, I mean, I think the well-being crossover as well is because of what we can share with our students. So to pick up where we were, colleagues, I'm just going to share this. I'm going to give you a short history of it, some of the key features within it, and also looking beyond video and introduce some of the free tools to help. And we will touch on, obviously, because it is such a strong theme at the moment, how you can bring and share different aspects and items. We do have a whole teacher training course, range of items as well for support, mental health, well-being, etc., etc. And obviously this concept of swarming and supporting each other through swarming, which is quite a big one, which we can touch on as well. So TuitionKit, in case you've never seen it before, I'm just going to share my screen very, very briefly. TuitionKit is basically a resource that allows you to have a range of items for English, maths, and science. We're used by hundreds of thousands of students. And what it's really focused on from a school point of view, from a parent's point of view, or from a student's point of view, it's allowing you the chance to have free revision tools. We've got 2,500 of our own videos, but you can also bring in any kind of link or resource from YouTube and actually put it in there as learning material as well. So it's very, 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 very flexible. Now let's see if that goes back. If I switch that off and stop and start the slide presentation, that's probably one bug on this piece of software. But here we go. So we've moved it towards a very free product now, and we're looking really at where the world is. And obviously, as we transition with the move towards COVID, a lot of teachers obviously picking up new skills. What we've seen is allowing students just kind of go without direction into learning. Here's your password, get on with it. Hasn't really been very successful. And we've seen that in a few reports. The independent learning for some students is working great, but on the whole, as an adjunct to school, it's probably too hands-off for teachers. Teachers need to be a bit more directing and supporting and feeding back through different educational or online ed tech kind of supports and frameworks there. So that's a kind of the key message, is the education delivery is changing. Now, I think there's going to be a good way to go. And Ross, I don't know what you've seen in this, but there's a good way to go is, I think we're still very much in the delivery mode. A lot of what we're thinking about putting online is all about delivery. We haven't really got assessment nailed, and we definitely haven't got feedback nailed. And I think there's a big gap in the loop there. But that's where I think the world is. What's your thoughts on that, Ross?
Yeah, so my work during lockdown, I've been working probably about 6,000 or 7,000 teachers in 60 different countries. On Monday, I was with a school in South Korea. And obviously their pandemic's very different. They're now returning to kind of some form of group work in classrooms where kids can now mix in bubbles. Everyone's wearing a mask by default. So their remote work is very different to what it might be here in England in a lockdown, even though schools are still open. Other parts of the world, I remember talking to a colleague in Panama, and they had been in a strict lockdown for 3 or 4 months. And colleagues in Brazil have been working with, had been where the numbers were the most highest, particularly at the start of the first kind of phase, were locked down for 3 or 4 months. I've got a couple of little tips I can give to people, things that I've been reading that it might help in terms of where teachers are turning their energies. It's not necessarily what types of software, it's now how to do it. So I can share that now. I'll just share a couple of things with people. The first one is this one. This actually comes from the health sector, and I had a little read of the report, and I thought these are easily applicable in the world of education. 12 tips for teaching in a virtual environment. You know, if we think about online learning, you know, we think of MOOCs and Blackboard in the university. These things have been around for 20 plus years. Some of my work with virtual schools or kids that might be a sports person or potentially a drama star, television star, they then do their GCSE qualifications remotely as they travel the world. So many of these things have been around, and actually the numbers of homeschooling numbers are rising prior to the pandemic. Obviously during the pandemic it's gone much higher. So a lot of these things have been around for a long time. I've noticed I've got a little spelling mistake there. I'm just going to fix that. Always the teacher. So 12 tips there. You'll find things that are very similar. As ever, number 11, always have a plan B. So Leon, what's our plan B in case the internet goes down?
I'll be trying my hand at sign language. I'll be making a video and sending it. Always a plan B.
And if you just type in this lecture pauses, this is one piece of research. I've been reading lots of research to do from not just my doctoral degree at Cambridge, but just my own interest with teaching and learning from a blog. But here I've summarized some of the key things I've written about over the pandemic. So just a quick summary. If you pause, it's actually good to reduce cognitive load. It works brilliantly in the classroom as well as virtually to help people think about your key questions. This is from the Education Endowment Foundation about the evidence on remote learning. The jury's out, so to speak. It's also limited, and we don't yet know what impact it has on disadvantaged pupils. I've just talked about 12 tips there. I've just talked about the gaze. Size matters. If we think about this video webinar, the small video camera that you see of Leon and myself in the right-hand corner as we present also makes a difference to outcomes rather than a large image with small slides. So that's that. Other slides are pretty straightforward. You know, thinking about if I just stop the presentation, as you're presenting, if you're presenting in a kind of room like what I've got where my screen here, you can also look back on the material and pause, and it also offers that it's what cognitive scientists call dual coding. It allows kids to process information visually and verbally. So these things work well in the classroom. They also work virtually. But as ever, it's not what you do, it's the way that you do it. So to coin the famous Bananarama song for people that are old enough, that's what gets results.
Yeah, very much so, buddy. Very much so.
Can we see TuitionKit? Can we give everyone a demo, Leo?
Yeah, of course. So guys, obviously you're here to do that, thinking about how you can work with the students as well. And just to give you a tiny bit of background there, as I was saying, where the phase is now, the video capturing of knowledge is probably the biggest thing that we need to do. Taking what's in text or taking what's in people's minds, putting it into video, because it is such a consumable way of doing this. And that's why TuitionKit exists, really. And that's what its strength was built on. And hopefully, you know, in giving it to schools for free, it's not just about sharing the English, maths and science that we have, but it's about capturing your knowledge and doing great things with it. And that's the idea here. We're going to think about what, you know, when people using it, what we're looking forward to is how people tell us they fed back with it and they've moved and they've improved their practice with remote learning with it. So without further ado, I'll give you a quick look into TuitionKit. Again, something completely free for your schools. I think my colleague James has actually put a link in to show you where you can just go and sign up and get it for free, which is all well and good. So I'm going to sign in now as a student. This might not be the right one. No, it's not. So I'm going to have to make a new account on my own system. And James, would you mind just putting the I'm just going to put in a fake email, and I don't actually know a code. I just realized this. So if I just jump in now, phew, jumped in, and
you can beat your own system. How about that?
Yeah, honestly, just so many different ones. I mean, I'll tell you more about Ross afterwards about the stuff we're doing now, but it's a long way from where we were. But essentially, when we get into the system, you're met immediately with, obviously, your dashboard. Now, I'm only going to show you the 3 most popular colleagues, the things that the students and the schools really, really like. So first of all is our range of subjects. You have all these different subjects available to you where you can share or kind of share with your students any of the ideas on any of the boards. So especially colleagues who are in colleges, when you're getting the resets come in for English and Maths and it's everyone from different boards, all of our items and resources are already here, set by the different boards and all the different subjects. And most importantly, we have a really, really high level of a Maths A level as well. So that's the content part. Now, the second most important part, or the one that people use the most, let's just say I have a child and they've been off COVID-related something, or for some reason that they've been homeschooled, or I want to support them after a parents' evening. If I just say, and again, I'm just making this up, let's say I'm in the OCR Gateway one, and I know that they need to follow C4 in this. I wasn't a science teacher, so forgive me if I make any mistakes. I want them to look at global challenges, and I also want them to look at model answers. And so you see here, just as I've been adding and taking those away, in the bottom right-hand corner, it's been popping up with 3 sections added here. And what happens is I can then say, this is Jamie Revision, and I would say they're going to start from tomorrow. That is going to last for 30 days while they recover from COVID and come back off holiday, or sorry, not holiday, off for half term. And let's say I'm going to set that task for them on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and let's say Sunday. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to create my schedule, and what it does for as a teacher to a child, or a child to themselves, or a parent to a child, it organizes all the work for you. So as you can see here, I said I'm going to start tomorrow. So it's broken down the exact topic areas that I wanted to study, and it's put them into those days for me. So as a teacher, it saves you a lot of time, a lot of stress, because you can just kind of set your half term, or you can set your couple of weeks so everyone knows what they're going to watch and when they're going to watch it. And as they track through the videos, their progress is tracked, and you get alerts as they complete videos, etc., etc., etc. So that's one of the second thing that's probably really, really powerful about what we do. Now, obviously, I've said before that we have English, Maths and Science, but one of the most powerful things as well is you can make this about anything. Now, I'm not a history teacher, in fact, or I'm not a teacher in Ross McGill. So let's see, Ross McGill, YouTube. Let's see what's come up about you in YouTube. Here we go. Meet Ross McGill. Now, say for example, I needed to share any video that was available online with one of my students. What I can do is I can take any video or channel or playlist, and I can bring that in to work with TuitionKit. So there you see, I'm going to add a video. I'm going to bring in a single video. And again, like it's very clearly laid out, as you can see. I'm going to paste that link. And there you see, I'm going to take the video in, I'm going to save the video, and I'm going to make this category and call it teacher support. Create the teacher support. And I'm going to go to that, and see here, it sits exactly the same as one of our videos. So it's imported immediately. So obviously there I did it as with respect to Ross. But if I was going to go here, GCSE history, for example, even though I'm not a history teacher, obviously I can look at that, Ross, I can't even spell history right. GCSE history YouTube.
Cool.
So I'll go into this channel now. Let's assume.
Hello, everyone.
Assume it's something I know. I'm going to go to ancient Greek medicine. So I'll take that, and I'm going to take the entire playlist.
There's a method behind the method.
And I'm going to jump straight back in to my TuitionKit. I go again to my videos, and I'm going to add the videos. I'm going to put in my playlist this time, and paste that. And here you're going to see it's going to bring all the videos that were in that playlist. And in exactly the same way, I can make more things, but I'm just going to put it in teacher support just for now. That now is something that I can make. And you see it's all there. And then straight away, I can set it into a schedule to share with my students. So they're the things that teachers are using the most in being able to do those items. And like I say, just over the last couple of months, just like last month, we've had 40,000 new users using it. And half, I'd say half of what we're seeing, Ross, is people using YouTube. They are really are.
In the chat box, do you need a school account? We are an adult learning community service.
Not at all. This is for everyone. So if you want, you'll be able to sign in. It's all taken care of by our team who deal with the onboarding. They will send you the onboarding videos. They will send you your codes. You can, anyone, anywhere can use it. What we didn't want to do, Ross, and I think this is really, really important to mention, what we didn't want to do was we didn't want to do a short time only, for 6 weeks it's free during COVID period, because a lot of people did that. We made sure that we could pivot and make sure it's free forever, so people can actually build it as a learning tool really, really strongly. There's one more thing to show you, but I did want to stress that point. This is not something that's free and then we'll tell you to buy it. It's not something that's free and there's an expiration period. Hopefully this will become something like Khan Academy, never asking for donations, because the work we do in teacher training covers this for us really well. And as I say, 40,000 new users in the last month or 5 weeks has been imperative. But there's one more thing to show on this, colleagues, just to give you a real feel of the power. And this is what I was saying to you earlier, Ross, if you remember, we've talked about it a lot, is where does the feedback start? How do you start making that feedback and response? Now, to do that, I am going to go back to that screen. I'm just going to do one small thing. Imagining now I'm a teacher and I am going to go to the video I made for Ross. So let's imagine I've uploaded this to Ross and I need to send Ross an individual message. So here's Ross's video. It could be anything. I could be giving him feedback. Sorry, I could be giving him feedback. I could be giving him ideas, or I could be critiquing his work. So if I come to this here, Ross is playing here. I'm going to add some feedback by putting an audio event on there. So if I go onto my audio event, I'm going to add a textual event, and I'm going to say to him, this is great. And then here you'll notice, colleagues, I'm going to record from a microphone. I'm going to start here. Really, really great work, Ross. Really like what you're doing. This is the key thing that you missed in class today, so I really want you to be following up on it. Good luck on doing. And so without downloading or messing around or emailing or hanging about, all I have to do is record that piece, and that is going to pinpoint it at exactly that point in the video. And that is denoted by this little blue dot. So you see here, colleagues, just in case obviously I can't increase the screen, but just where I'm circling now, you've got a little blue dot in the middle. And that is where a teacher can leave a comment to a student, if you've got a school or a learner account, or it's a place where a student can leave a note for themselves. So when I refresh this now, because obviously it's pinging up to YouTube and pinging back, you're just going to see that in action. Just wait to hit that part there.
Train when I was just 18 years old, to want to be a teacher and work in challenging, to be a teacher and work.
I'm going to start here. Really, really great work, Ross. Really like what you're doing. This is the key thing that you missed in class today, so I really want you to be following up on it. Good luck when you do. And that's how, Ross, would they be able to take a message in video. Now, the really interesting thing about this, Ross, is really, really took off, and colleagues who are watching, that the way we set this up in the beginning was we thought that teachers would like to type in video, leave a message in video. And the feedback we got was really, really eye-opening, because we said, the first people who were doing it with our trial schools back in the day, they said that teachers felt like they were writing a report home with every question. So they felt it left them open to exposure, because, an error, or they get something wrong, or they're trying to be quick and casual. But there you see, in 8 seconds, I've probably said what will take me 2 minutes to type, and I've dropped it out and you can't catch me out. And we found that student engagement was so much higher because it was their teacher's voice.
I can give everyone a little insight. I've been using voice dictation for 10 years, which is why I've written all my books. But I also used it to write my blogs, do my marking, write teaching policies. It's all on our devices now, so there's no excuse. And some of the skills and technology companies that I've been working with, like yourself, creating loads of features, press the microphone, narrate your comments. Really great way to improve assessment, to reduce teacher workload. And I'm just looking at some comments in the chat box. There's a question here from Ellie. This looks like a great way to allocate videos. We could write quizzes on other platforms to assess understanding and things like that. And she's saying it's a money saver. And she quotes another reputable company that charges for this service, and looks like she's moving elsewhere, moving over here. So that's a win.
Well, that's one of the beautiful. You can add a resource link under any, so you can make a quiz, add a resource link. Obviously, for us, you can add questions and quizzes as well. I don't know about you, Ross, and I don't know about the colleagues. If I would quiz for pub nights, a quiz for level 2, level 3 students, brilliant. But quizzes in general, the research on them shown again and again and again, it does hardly anything for long-term learning. And it's the feedback ultimately and the notes from someone that you like, personalization, that does have a demonstrable difference. I'm really not a fan of quizzes anyway. It's wonderful engagement, but I don't know where the long-term learning is on that. I don't know what your thoughts are, Ross.
Well, there's lots of research on retrieval practice that as long as it's low stakes, it doesn't have a grade, and long as it's regular and spaced. So I guess those two things are a juxtaposition in itself. But thinking carefully about when you quiz kids without a grade, but as you said, it's the quality of feedback that matters. There's so many different types of feedback: written, verbal, non-verbal, feedback, feed up, feed forward. It's not what you do, it's the way that you do it. So TuitionKit obviously is a great resource with, to be able to import playlists. I would have loved to have had that resource, because then you could just bring in a whole series of history videos, link to your curriculum, allocate that resource or task to a group or one student, and then to just leave those voice notes and that feedback. Ross, you haven't spelled X, Y, Z. Can you practice this before you come back to class? Or leave the voice note yourself so I can hear you say this complicated word. It's a great resource. I think there's no excuse now. For teachers, the challenge is having that technology in your school, getting your school leaders on board. And there's so much out there now. It's about, I guess, just working out what's best suits your context, trying to find things that are going to save you time, save a bit of money. I think those are where most people are spending their time and effort. So, and
Ross, there's been one big change we've seen with TuitionKit and with more than any of our other products, which we, quote unquote, sell. TuitionKit now is being used by classroom teachers and departments, aside from it being a whole school activity, because people can see it and say, yes, that's just like something free I want to apply in my class.
But people can create their own login regardless.
Yeah, so we do it.
So thinking of a kind of safeguarding or school leader perspective, how does the teacher navigate? I want the login. How do I then allocate it to my kids without them having a login, or the safeguarding aspects and those types of things?
Yeah, so because we're a GCSE, because we're obviously GCSE, it's generally considered all our material is generally considered to be above 13, which is the first point of the GDPR call, where you have to get permission specifically from students to do X, Y, or Z with any of their data. With the school themselves, they get a specific code to them and their students, which is completely private to them. Obviously, everything we do is encrypted, and so they actually just get the access that way. But I'll show you very quickly how it looks from a teacher's, because I'll show you from the learner's perspective there. Yeah. I'll show you, colleagues, very quickly from a teacher's perspective how that sits and looks. So I'm going to sign into a teacher portal. So this is looks similar but different. So I'm going to sign into a teacher portal here, where I'm just going to go to here, and then, although this is the teacher portal, the mechanism and control is exactly the same. So here, signed in as a teacher trainer now, or I'm the teacher of the class. And what will happen is it will show me activity over the last few days, and it will show me all of my students. This is a demo one. Obviously, these are all fake people, so any data you get here or you see here is completely fake. And then what happens is I can create a class and add certain people to it. So if I wanted Mia and Mike to go into a class, I would simply add them into a class. Or if I wanted to control the access of what Sanjay has, for example, I go to control access, and then I can pick what they can access or can't access from here. So it's the GCSE ones and all the things that you make. They're all set up in and around there. So you have a wide range there of ways to actually navigate it. And now, this is interesting because whenever they've uploaded any kind of feedback, or whenever they've done any answers, if you're choosing to set it up that way, this all pings for the teacher. So you'll see, like, you've got one here to look at, you can view your alerts, and then you can start messaging back and forth with your students and going through it that way. So, and of course, then, when it comes to actually looking at reports and how you want to see who's doing and who's doing what, so you can see the efficacy, that's really, really important. Now, overall, colleagues, obviously been doing this for years in a lot of countries now. In general, we find that the take-up is around 15% of a school's cohort that have it will use it religiously and diligently. And then there's another 20% who will use it more than once a week, who will use TuitionKit more than once a week. As it moves into being something free, we're hoping that's going to improve. But at its core, we generally get 15% religiously who are using it every day or two. And that makes a big difference. When you think of a school cohort, the difference between 45% pass rate and a 60% pass rate is massive to a school, and that's the kind of thing.
For people watching, you've got primary schools, secondary, FE colleges, everyone using it.
Yeah. Because with the primary, they just import the phonics, they import the songs, they import things that they like. And in COVID, it's been a great help with some schools. We've worked on them specifically. So if you book a one-to-one, we'll show you how to do it more detailed. Again, it's all free, but we'll show you more detail. It's how do you supply something to parents who can then start to assist their children in organising the timing of learning. Because as you know, Ross, during lockdown, I don't know how many teacher friends you have, but even my teacher friends were like, I don't know what to do with my own kids. I can't actually teach and control my own kids. And so I really could spare I was so sad for parents who may not have any teaching background or any awareness, who are trying to replicate the school day at home. But really something like TuitionKit takes a lot of that pressure off. Just bring in your playlist from YouTube, you know which sites your school's recommending you trust, and then you've got it organised and strated to move in from there.
I've got a question from Yaselina. I think that do you have any past papers for running mocks online?
Believe it or not, we actually have a whole suite. Now, what I can't say to you is, because obviously the exam board owns the old papers. So if I go here at the moment, I'm going to give it to you in reverse just to show you. So if I just go into it one more time. So if I go back to TuitionKit, you'll see in all of the areas, we will have, I'm just looking for it now, we will have past papers, and they'll come in different forms. So it'll either be an exam technique, or it will be in things such as, just if I go to the GCSE papers, if I look down as well, you can see it in, I saw one earlier, so I'm just looking. Some of them say they have past model answers, past papers, because what we can't do is we can't put the past papers on there because we don't own the copyright for them. So where you see the YouTubers here, we have an agreement with the YouTubers where we actually sponsor them and they put their materials, their videos on there. But we can't charge it, put a service on there. However, if you go onto YouTube and you look at any of the past papers, you can bring it right on. Mm-hmm. And we do have a sister service which we've taken off the market, but it will be coming back in a next year just because the exams have been cancelled. And just to show you that it's a sister service, which is exactly what you were asking for. But obviously, because I've said everything so far is free, I really want you to know I'm not pushing this. I just want you to know it's out there. It's going to come. It's not going to come this year. Just waiting for my computer to load. But this is a function called Exam Marker. And if you want to just pop to exammarker.com, James, if you could just put the link in. If you watch this video, we'll explain it to you. What actually happens here is we have for English, Math, Science, brand new papers for all the different papers for English, Math, Science. And ultimately, it's an upload service where your student, as you can see there, they answer some of the videos that are in the question, they put it down on a piece of paper, and then I'm just trying to fast forward into this video.
That is exact.
Yes, the teacher sees your exam paper, cross-reference with a mark scheme, and then they mark and annotate this for you and your students to share back. But as I said, at the moment, we're not taking any new subscriptions for that, simply because I'm hoping the exams are cancelled again, because I'm not a huge fan of exams anyway. But that is something, we do have the resources, but they won't be items that are currently free. I would suggest to use them in line with the freeness of TuitionKit. Go online, find a YouTuber that's done it, as you can with model answers, and absorb them in. And you can put it in as a resource as well. So you can have the model answer video and then a link from one of your AQA. As long as you're choosing to do it, we won't get into any copyright trouble with AQA or OTR.
Yeah, of course. And I've just seen a question that's been answered on the chat box, but where does a teacher ask if it could work? It could do all this on a tablet or a mobile phone, and kids too, I guess, as well.
100%. Everything comes through and it's available on all devices. It's web-based, so you don't have to download any software to make any of it work. The only known slight glitches we've ever had in any kind of mobile or tablet responses is certain Chromebooks, because Google keep updating some of their items. But that's about 3 reports in the last year. So it's not a huge problem, but again, it will go onto any device in school. And like I say, it is completely and utterly free.
I was going to put you on the spot and say, what are the Achilles heels, or what are you working on development-wise to make it even better? But I guess also you
want to know. Do you really want to know? Do you really want to know?
Having a bank of videos, you can put endless amounts of videos in there and create endless lessons.
Well, let's say we wanted to make this here between me and you a lesson, or like looking at your, and this is the culture I want to kind of move to. So again, colleagues, I'll just share my screen quickly. Now, what we've made is an instant screen recording. So I'm just going to pop to, this is the presentation that I put together for this. But obviously, I just want you to hold in your mind for a second, colleagues, that this could be anything. This could be your history presentation, your wellness presentation, your RE presentation. We're all used to making PowerPoints and whatnot. So what we've built, again, completely free, is this item called ScreenRock, which is a Google extension. And if you come into this extension, what you're able to do is instantly create an annotated video. And that's what I'm going to do here. So Ross, just imagine I'm going to teach this now. So I start my recording and I just say, hello, welcome to this tutorial video. Today we're going to look at where the world is. Now, obviously world is spent with a W, etc., etc. And I want you to take in the key item that we're talking about. Education and delivery is changing. And of course, because we're teachers, we might want it all to just go to a whiteboard at any point. And once I stop that, I can then download that video and put it into YouTube to make my own instant videos. So it's got all the teacher tools on there to add.
Perfect for annotating kids' work, 6-mark questions, those type of things.
100%. And then remember, TuitionKit in that point, you've got it in one, Ross.
And it's free.
Yeah, that's free as well.
Wow.
So you take that and look, we got lucky in selling what we are happy to sell, but the biggest thing is how do you
I know I've seen this type of software in so many different forms. You know, my life as a blogger, I've been sent edtech platforms to look at and review and endorse for teachers for 10 years, and all of it costs. And it's very rarely you find something of good quality that's for free with no tricks. And if it can save teachers time, I can use it independently of school, and I can do it from a good safeguarding perspective, and it's going to save me time and make a difference to my kids. What's not to like, I suppose?
And there's a big part for that for us, Ross. I mean, when I was a head teacher, we had to make a decision about getting teachers or getting the full Sims package. Right? That was literally the situation I was faced with as a head, and I chose the decision to make my own Sims. And the only way that we could do that, we had the minimum Sims requirement that you could have for the compliance, but all the actual data tracking we built on Google Sheets. And I'll never forget how grateful I was to Google for making that free for us. And you know, we took our school to outstanding. We changed the whole culture. The things that we made were copied time and time again by other schools. We shared them happily and freely. But it's always, for me, I always feel with TuitionKit now, we really get a chance to pay it forward. The G Suite being free for our school changed our lives as teachers.
Yeah,
in a very small way, we can add to a part of that.
It's also great for workload using the G Suite tools.
What did you say? Death to Microsoft? Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
So what functionality can I use? You know, thinking of all the different platforms people use, how can I align TuitionKit with maybe some of the stuff we'd use in schools, like G Suite, for example?
Yeah, so the beautiful thing about your playlists or what you import or what you do, it becomes an exportable link. So basically, where you don't have to share the link to our item to actually have people access it, you can share the link to the specific playlist and put it wherever you would put it in classroom. So say you're doing it's lesson 3 in a unit and you've imported a load of videos, you can put the playlist link there or the link into the G Suite resources, and then people can use it as a gateway or a pivot onto the next section and the next piece on our work. Moreover, do you see this login section here? If you so wish, so if I just go back to TuitionKit, and I'm just going to sign out now. So you see this part here, that is now an exportable widget. So as well, you can actually bring that into your school website. You can give it into some of the newsletters or emails. So you can have people signing in from an email, from your own website. You don't even need to come to our site to do it. And if you want that feature, obviously you just have to write to us and ask, and we will make an exportable piece so your tech team can just put it straight onto your website or wherever you need it to be.
I've got one more question. I've got a visualizer on my table. I've been a huge fan of visualizers for 15 years. If I plug this into my computer, record a video, how do I import it into TuitionKit so kids can watch me annotate live a drawing or something like that? How would that work?
Well, I tell you what, rather than pretend, Ross, let's do it. Let me show you. We
haven't practiced this, everyone. We haven't practiced this.
So here I've got a scrappy piece of paper. I'm just going to go over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the visualizer that is on my desk, the one that you told me to prepare us. So here, using this example is the way we want to do it, and we can do this in real time. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start the recording, and I'm going to record my screen. So I'll just do it like a 10-second video. So here we go. So I've started the recording again using our free tool. Hi class, this is where we're going to learn to draw smiley faces because my handwriting is so bad and my typing is so bad, I wouldn't want you to get an idea of anything else. And so I've made that now. I stop it. And then here you see straight away, I can save it to go into obviously the web.
So
but
we can't see your screen, by the way, if you want
to. Sorry, is that what? Oh,
so
I'll do that again.
You did. So unless you want to, I don't know if you were switching off the visualizer, so we didn't.
No. That was just rookie mistake.
You're gonna have to do it all again. You're gonna have to do it
100%. Right. So I'm going to start my video. I'm going to do a recording, and then I'm going to pop over to the item that I have here. Hello, students. What I managed to do was actually do a smiley face, but now I'm going to have to do a sad face because obviously I messed up and it was unforgivable. So I come back now, and then I'm going to stop that video, and I'm going to call this video whatever I want, and then simply I can save the video, but for these purposes I'm going to download the video. So now if I've got a YouTube account, I'm just going to go to YouTube. I don't even know if any of our which of our YouTube accounts work, but as I go into YouTube, always my computer crashes, which is just as good. Oh, look at that, Ross. I don't know if you can see it. I've got spinning wheel of death.
Oh, you always seem to have this problem whenever I chat with you. You got too many tabs and too many apps. It's a habit.
I am a problematic nerd, I admit. So now, obviously, because I haven't been to YouTube for 41 years, it wants me to learn more. I don't want to learn more. I just want to upload my video. So it's hopefully that means it's doing it. Video 45, and so that's the link there.
Okay.
I'm just going to save it, and I'm just going to connect. And the only thing I would do, obviously, if I was doing it differently, colleagues, is I would go to make it, and I can't even remember where it is now, but I would have to go to make it unlisted because obviously I wouldn't want it available for everyone. But forgive me, I haven't used YouTube to upload a video for a long time. But I'm just going to go to next. No, it's not.
It's on the next page, the unlisted feature.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're still a YouTuber, aren't you? You still
unlisted. Yeah.
Brilliant. So there we go. I go to that and that. Thank you.
You've been there and done the YouTube.
Back in my day, it was all one screen. It was all one screen. So now I'm going to go back into TuitionKit because obviously I logged out just to get us there. So I'm going to join again, and I am in TuitionKit. So I'm going to have a brand new one here. And remember, colleagues, if you're just using it as a student, you just want to share it as a student. If you're a parent watching, you don't need any access codes. You only need an access code if you are a teacher who wants to align to some students. But I've just gone in here and here, and then I'm just going to close that and continue. And obviously, I blame myself for this, but obviously even YouTube was going slow on my computer, so I'm not going to be upset for that.
Microsoft Teams question. How does it integrate with Microsoft Teams?
You can sign in completely with Microsoft Teams. We do have single sign-in for Microsoft, which you can actually do. And then I'm just going to save that video there. So I'll just finish this and I'll come back to that question. And I'll create that. And there you see the video title has come up, but it hasn't processed yet through YouTube. Oh, no, sorry, it has.
All right,
just to say, and so there it is now. Obviously, I can record that at my leisure. The item that I have here. Hello, students. What I managed to do is actually do and then, of course, if I want to add a question there, Ross, like a multiple choice question, I'm going to put it here. And I'll put
yeah.
Yes. Will it win a Turner Prize? No. And then I pick the one that I want to do there, and I save that. And as you see again, it's just it's now there. And if I set that to a student as a teacher, it will pop up for the student. And as you can see, that took 30 seconds and nothing, I think most importantly for us, nothing beyond what we're expecting teachers to do in 2020.
So at the moment we stop this webinar, how long does it take me to sign up?
What, as a teacher?
Yeah.
As a teacher with a class, you will put in the request because you'll tell us which subjects you want. You will tell us how many codes you want, and then we will write back to you within probably about 24 hours. You'll get your code and then you're off and away.
And then I can get my first lesson set up, what, in 5-10 minutes, something like that?
Oh, using the platform itself. We've got lots of knowledge-based videos on the site. You see everything that you want to do.
And once it's can repeat, allocate, and those types of things. So then the long-term plan is that it reduces workload.
100%. Like we're really, really proud that some teachers have used it really as an extension of Parents' Evening, an extension of students. They're making a lot of videos for their students. But the powerful thing is being able to integrate. Say you've got a science playlist, right? And it's, I'm not going to say boring, but technical video after technical video. What you can do with the third video is you can bring in a rocket launch if it's relevant. You can bring in a football match if it's relevant to physics. And it's just breaking it up with real world examples, which is harder in the classroom, but now it flows. So you're seeing theory, application. Theory, application. But in schools, the way that, especially with science, it's become so pressurized to do so much. Teachers are really trying to teach to the test as much as they can.
How many teacher logins are people using on the site? How many people are using the site now?
What currently?
Yeah, across the globe.
Yeah, so this has been our best year now that it's free. So we've started the year with 40,000 students and 2,500 teachers using it for a range of purposes. So we give you, I think it's if you don't choose what you want, we give you 1,000 student codes, to cover a whole school, and 200 teacher codes or 50 teacher codes. I'll double check that, but it's on there. So every single school gets multiple codes, just depending on what they want to have with their students.
Great. So I guess, is there any questions from anybody in the chat box?
The Microsoft one. Can I just touch on the Microsoft?
Yeah, Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, the Microsoft one. So essentially, where we actually move in with the where we move in with the Microsoft. Obviously, we have single sign-on with Microsoft. Ultimately, obviously, we just call us and tell us to set that up for you, and obviously that will be signed in. And then where you can integrate it with Teams is essentially placing the videos, the resources, the questions, the quizzes, and using it just like I said on Gmail, just using it as a gateway. In terms of exportability, depending on how you're doing it, if you're putting the links into OneNote, you can take the videos that you make onto YouTube or on our platform, and you can put them in OneNote, and they can hang there as well. Actually, I take that back. I said about Microsoft. I still think OneNote is the best educational tool I've ever come across, even though my heart bleeds Google, my blood runs Google.
It's interesting because I use Google Suite in my own work, but anything schools or certain schools or my academic work, it's all Microsoft Teams. Yeah, I won't. I'm probably a bit more with you, but it's good that at least it works in both platforms. So it's a nice thing for everyone.
Yeah, I mean the support we've had from when we've had discussions with different places to do this as well, especially in investment group, etc. It's always really, really exciting. But I think the infrastructure and the setup is always going to be built to promote their own items first, and that's obviously understandable because of where it is. But with Google in particular, there's been more elements simply because what we used to say about this when we started was this is YouTube on steroids, because it adds the whole feedback loop interactivity at that point. So it does make a big difference in allowing that to happen.
With all the kids that you've got logged in, is there any kind of data that you could give people watching in terms of, I don't know, kids' scores going up, their attention, how many videos or pathways they're following?
Yeah, so with regards to grades, because obviously when we speak to the schools, they tell you when they resubscribe or not, and that was always the thing. Is like, has it made a difference? Resubscribe? Yes, we're resubscribing, and we always had about 75% retention, which is really good. Our industry is about 35 to 40%. But the next element that was really, really important was actually when we actually wrote questionnaires, and we sent the questionnaires out to people. Now, one year, say, we'd have like 100,000 users, but we only got 150 responses. So you're really preaching to the choir there. So you ask them, do you feel this? Do you feel this? And we get tons of positive feedback. But again, like you're looking at 1% of what's there. But you find that with everything. Like every app only has about a 1% response rate, even on the Google stores, etc. The key thing is the watchability, and we have thousands of hours a day that are watched around the world. And the people I would say who appreciate it most have been people internationally, because they're getting maybe a higher standard of diction in English coming through the tutorials than things that are available in their countries. But now we're going to be doing much more work on actually analysing what happens with this, because it's not a financial arm. We're really looking at how we can improve it, what we can do. But we really want, and I think this is the most important thing, colleagues, we really want you to think mostly about how TuitionKit be used outside of English and science, because it can become a lifelong learning tool in terms of, this is how I can feed back to my students, this is how I can schedule everything for my students really, really well, and I can add anything that I want. So hopefully it's a frontier of video learning, and we've got a couple of tools around it to really make that last all full.
You'll probably know this as a tuber. How many videos are on YouTube now? So that's essentially our teacher's resource bank, isn't it? Are we talking about billions of videos?
Can I show you one thing we're working on? Just one small thing we're working on.
Go on, why not?
All right. I'm going to show you a lady. That sounds like it's not the start of a good story. And this wasn't made by us, but this is what we've built an emulator for it, but there is currently slightly more polished than ours. So I'm just going to show you this, and I want you to tell me what you think. So you're going to notice that WhatsApp is loading here. Thankfully, I don't really have anything that kind of comes across irregular on WhatsApp. Let me just politely put irregular, but I'm just going to say here. So I'm just going to jump to this piece. This is an American friend who was sending it for some of the work that we're doing with them. This is all us discussing the election, not the purpose, but the purpose is this lady here. So I'm just going to jump into this and skip.
Hello, and welcome to this tutorial video.
In
All right.
class.
So just watch, colleagues, just watch 20 seconds, and this is the new frontier now. Just watch 20 seconds of this lady, Ross. Just watch 10 seconds of this
Some
lady.
of them really can be easily manipulated, maneuvered, and changed to work at home. Every time you hear a teacher in class, just remember for yourself that we're talking about parents and students.
Okay, so does that anything strike you out of the ordinary with that, Ross?
I'm going to say that this person's not real.
100%. She is not real. She is lip synced from text. So all a teacher has had to do is type, and it is turned into a 3D rendered lip synced face. And you can actually turn it into different tones, different face shapes, different everything. And that will be launched on the platform late January. And so teachers will be able to do that. And
I've got a couple of thoughts. Yes, it's scary, ed tech and personal, social, mental health type stuff, but linguistically and helping kids learn language and thinking about kids with special needs and stuff, there's a huge potential there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, because one of the things that we know, and the reason we got into this, and I know this is something close to your heart as well, if you don't mind me saying, just because I remember you talking about it a while ago, abuse. Where children have actually been victims of abuse, sometimes having the police or the counsellor or the official person, they haven't actually managed to get full revelations or full discussions with children about it. I was working with a company that was using technology where they would get a 3D rendered rabbit or a 3D rendered bear, a childish one, to kind of coach them into questions and talking about things that they wouldn't normally talk about. And what they found was that the engagement rate from survivors or people who had difficulty, especially children, when it wasn't like a police or authority figure, when it was Bugsy the bear, who was just an animated version of the an emoji of some kind of the police officer, this, that, and the other, it allowed them to open up so much more. And so that's when I became fascinated in it. And the reason isn't just because of that, but it becomes relatability. Imagine for a second if we could turn a range of those items. So just watching exactly the same lady now, I'll just show you this version again. It's exactly the same. Sorry, it's not exactly the same at all. It's the same looking lady, but it's completely different. So I'll just turn that screen share on again. Okay, and then we'll go back to the wonder of WhatsApp. And so here, just so this looks like the same lady.
So you're importing all this into TuitionKit?
Hallo, dit is een voorbeeld van een Nederlandse les van Guide Educaton.
So now you see we've got exactly the same lady, but she is speaking fluent Dutch.
Wow.
You can do that with skin. I can show you it in Chinese. I can show you it in everything. And so we're using it's open source technology. The version that you're seeing there are put together by a fantastic new startup, but we've built our own to the point where we've just got to the lips.
You get me teaching Dutch.
Yeah. Well, that's the beautiful part. We'll be able to take, so we're working, one of the first people we're going to be working with is obviously our partners, Osiris, and then with Professor John Hattie to make Professor John Hattie's face available in every language.
Wow.
With what they're doing, obviously, depending on his publishers as well. But obviously, it would be people like you. You know how we're making your videos, but we made the animation?
Yeah. So in the
future, we could have you speaking fluent Swahili. We could have you speaking fluent this. And we run it through 3 different language processing engines. Because again, I'll just thank Google and MIT and all the people doing the university, the top level cutting edge research on this. They make it all open source and free. So if you've got an application for it, like we do, then you can turn it into something really, really useful. But that's the exciting part. So you said, what are we, what's coming up? It's been, hopefully it's been useful. But we're coming up to an hour now, and I think people are going to start getting bored. So I'm going to answer a few private questions. Are there any more questions before we go? And thanks for your time again, as ever, Russ.
Well, it's a great piece of software. Everyone, keep up the good work. We're all looking for things that save time and money, so here it is. So create an account. James has already sent the link to people in the chat box, so give it a go.
Brilliant. And for the couple of people who asked private questions, I am going to answer them now, so thank you so much. Oh no, they're not private questions, are they? I thought they were private.
But I think I've raised one or two, but we'll go through them all. If people want to log off and have cups of tea and family and downtime, we'll just hang on and answer any chit-chat questions.
Is there a link to the replay of this webinar? Yes, hopefully all the webinars are recorded on Webinar Jam. We will put that out there again. Does TuitionKit work as devices, phones, or tablets? Yes, 100%. What was that Google extension? Tim, the Google extension was Screen Rock. Oh, James has shared it already. Foolish of me. I've asked for signs, but from what you said, my enthusiastic colleagues and who I have the subject, would they be able to do it? Yes, 100%. Now, Eddie, that's completely up to you. They can have the code from you. Each department can have its own code, or you can have a school-wide code to allow access. It really depends on whether you want to mentor collectively or whether you feel you want to mentor in a siloed way. You would not believe how variant that is. I always think of schools as very collegiate. Whenever I wanted to do anything in my school, either before I was ahead and when I was ahead, we were all doing it. You know, we were just, this is our culture. But a lot of people just like, no, we just want it for science. Don't bring any of that English stuff over here, etc. So it is completely up to you with that. And that is it. Thank you so much, Ross. Thank you so much, colleagues, for joining. I hope it was you. Thank you so much, James, as well, for helping out. And yeah, really look forward to speaking to you again. This will be sent out as a replay link. God bless, buddy.
Cheers, Leon. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.